All right, Regent Ascension 5. Let's go. I got a couple options here. Pomander, New Leaf, or Hefty Tablet. Hefty Tablet's cool, but it comes with a curse. That's why it's hefty. So I decided to go for the Transform, which isn't that much different because you could still get a random rare. And we get Spectrum Shift, which was not what I was expecting. And it can be hard to play. On a turn like this, you could have played it, obviously, because it's 2 energy. But otherwise, yeah, it can be difficult. So that'll be a fun run for sure, and we'll see how this goes. But I wanted to talk about a couple of things before we get into this run. Again, this is a after the run commentary. I think that'll be better with the fact that I lost 2 Regent runs prior to this on the last boss of Act 3 in both cases. Splash, by the way, getting me bludgeoned. Amazing. So, when I was looking at those games in hindsight, I realized I kept running out of steam on like the second phase or whatever that fight was. One of the fights was against the test subject in phase 2. He just outscaled me before I could kill him and get him to phase 3. And then phase 3 isn't like nearly as scary, but I just really was struggling with bursting him down. And he did like 10 by 7, I think, to me. I just couldn't block that much. That was asking a lot. And it's too bad because it was a really fun run. I did a Tyranny Bombardment run. Tyranny is a rare card, power, that you can make with an upgrade innate. So you get it in your first hand, and it exhausts a card every draw, but still then draws like a full hand. So, at least I think it does. And then I got Bombardment and realized for the first time ever how that card was supposed to be played. It's supposed to be played with Tyranny, which we exhausted Bombardment, and if you didn't know, Bombardment does massive damage. I'll put it up on the screen here, make it a little bit clearer. It does like 18 or 24 damage at the start of the next turn when exhausted, every turn. And I got 2 of those. And it was so fun. But that wasn't enough. If you don't set it up perfectly or you don't get to play both early enough, again, you're not like, it's not scaling. It's linear, and that damage is great, but it wasn't enough. And in fact, in that one fight that I lost, I didn't have both before the end of phase 1. So I should have taken my time in phase 1 and really gotten that bombardment and everything set up and gone through my entire draw pile once. But then, yeah, it never got there. And then the second run was also a lot of fun. It was a big sword run, Sovereign Blade, and it was the same deal. I just like the last fight. I think it was maybe that was against Queen. I can't remember. And it was the same deal, though, where I just couldn't make it through that final fight without getting outscaled. Because, if you don't draw your cards in the right order perfectly in that fight, you don't have that much time. So you have to make sure that your deck is instead very consistent, or you can rely on it, or you have some manipulation, whatever it may be. You need something that'll get you through there. So this was my 3rd try, and I'm pretty confident that I can get to the act bosses. I was proving that pretty well. I know how many elites I can fight typically if I'm strong enough to fight an elite. Spoiler: this guy's often not that strong to fight elites unless you've got some real big damage, and that all depends. So this game, we're already on floor 9, by the way. We've got Phantom at the end of this act. And it's going pretty quick, which is cool. We got a Gremlin Horn. We picked up a Clumsy for that. I do think that this Regent's got some good curse tolerance. Kind of like how the Silent can discard stuff. There's enough deck manipulation with Regent and or ability to transform cards with like Begone, as we see right there, that it's not that scary, really. So for this particular part of the run, we are going to at least take on one elite here, if not a couple. I've got 2 good potions, so definitely we should be fighting an elite. And we get a Tiny Mellox, which is the first time I got this relic, and it's pretty good. It gives you 2 potions every time you rest, which, by the way, is above Ascension like 3 or 4, whatever it is. You get 2 potion slots, so you will always walk into your next fight with 2 potions if you didn't have any going into a rest stop, which is awesome. And also because I just had mentioned, I very much struggled to fight elites with this guy early on. I find myself resting a lot, even with elites. So that's been it's been good to get cards that also do things when you're resting anyway. So this tiny mailbox really just kind of hit that spot nicely. Now we're fighting the frog parasite here, and the frog parasite is one of those enemies that is kind of annoying, so we're going to use a potion here for sure. We get Comet, which is incredible. 3 weak and 3 vulnerable and 33 damage. I love it. 0 cost, especially when it comes from a potion. So we're able to play that one for even more damage with Falling Star. And then Sovereign Blade lets us take out a Wriggler for free, which is really nice because these guys are just, yeah, they're awful. I find that this is the harder part of the fight for sure because of how they're scaling, and you very quickly find out whether or not you have enough AoE damage in your deck, which, spoiler, I don't. I don't have enough. But it's good enough to get through this anyway with some, again, manipulation and just high damage cards. So at this point, if we need to, we can eat a little bit of damage, that is, because we're able to one-shot these with Sovereign Blade. So yeah, it's outside of taking a little bit of damage from infection cards. It's really not that bad. Which, by the way, I don't know what it is, but I guess infection cards trigger some sort of phobia with people. So now there's a phobia mode if needed. I'm staring at them, and I guess they are kind of creepy, I guess. But like, and I'm not saying this. I'm not making fun of anybody about this. I'm just like genuinely curious. I'm gonna have to Google this of like what is the phobia that makes little creepy borders of a card freak you out? Is it like, is there a phobia of worms or like, well, probably, right, of wriggling things? I assume there must be. I don't actually know the answer. And again, I swear I'm not making fun of it. I just don't understand it. So we do have a couple of interesting things that happen in this run. Some mistakes that I make, for that matter. But you know what? Let's not spoil those. We'll wait till we get those. So at this point, I'm already thinking, we probably need some block. I like Bulwark. Bulwark is a great card. Big block, big forge, cost 2, but it can get you out of a high damage intake place quickly. Now, I'm going to take the explosive ampule as well as the vulnerable potion. That's because vulnerable potion is just stronger with Sovereign Blade, 100%. Much more than the extra energy. And the ampule was maybe a mistake. I thought that one of the potential elite enemies was the 4 beast things, but I don't think they can happen in this act. I think they happen on the docks, in the docks act, and we're in like the forest where you can get Burdanis and stuff. I will say I don't have that completely down yet, understanding what like map set we're in and which enemies go to which map set. But you can see we're in like the jungly type. So in hindsight, again, I think the ampule was a mistake. I probably should have kept the Radiant Tincture in that case. But what are you going to do? Now this fight, I did get to play Spectrum Shift and immediately realizing like, oh, that can be a pretty good card when you're able to play it. So, I'm looking to play that. And then, at this point, one of the things that I also noticed in one of my losses was I could not get enough stars quickly enough. So Hidden Cache seems really good to me to just make sure I'm always keeping up with my stars. Now we don't get Burdanis, we instead get the Bygone FG. That's cool. This guy gives us some setup time, so I'm thinking to myself like, all right, we can get our big sword going here. We get a scrawl, which is great. Looking at the cards that I have here, I probably should have played Bulwark and just amped up my damage on that Sovereign Blade before he started doing crazy amounts of damage, which that's the difficulty with this guy. I heard somewhere, somebody said that this is actually the statue that becomes the giant head. Like his head falls off, and that's the giant head, I guess? I don't know if that's true. But if it is, that's pretty neat. Like a little lore drop that I didn't connect the dots on. I think I saw it on, was it like a Jorbs video or something? I do like to watch Jorbs and both him and Baylor Lord, I think is how you say his name. Obviously both really good players and big time streamers. They're always streaming Slay the Spire. And a lot to learn from those guys too. They have pretty different play styles. So by watching both, it's great. And I usually watch them to go to bed. So I'm not sure I've ever seen the end of a run. That's not true. Of course, I've definitely seen the end of a run that they've done. But very often I'm already passed out by like Act 3. But by Act 2, you generally know what's happening anyway and why it's happening. So I wonder, I'm curious if anybody watches these videos to fall asleep. Hopefully I have a good fall asleep voice. I don't scream a lot. Anyway, this guy is getting tough. We're almost dead. Had we played that bulwark earlier, we probably already would have killed this guy. And instead we're going to take another 5. But I think at this point I can get away with the vulnerable pot and then just do 1 more forge for 70 damage. Yep, that got us through. So we do get away with a potion belt. Crescent Spear is something I've been thinking about playing but haven't yet. I expect to start taking that in some upcoming runs. I haven't yet at all, but I'm just genuinely thinking about that. Now, this store gives us an opportunity to cash in on those star points that we haven't been using all that much. So Stardust seems really good. The matchsticks are interesting, but I'm not sold on them with this particular set of cards. They give you another skill. First exhausting skill that you play, you get another one. So I don't think we're going to pick those up. I do always like playing some hidden gem action. That is a lot of fun to play. So we're going to grab that again. And then we got a potion belt. So, I'm thinking maybe I load up on some potions going into the boss fight here. Of course, I somewhat forgot already that I had the tiny mailbox. And I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe I shouldn't. I also thought about Furnace here, but here's another thing. This card, Furnace, is good, but it's slow. And I didn't think that... I thought that this was a good example, and I talked about this in the last run, where we've got to be careful of how much junk we put into our deck. And while you might say, well, Furnace isn't junk, the fact is it doesn't do anything meaningful for multiple turns after you play it. So it just sits as a card, and then the turn that you play it, it doesn't do anything. We're going to take an energy potion here for sure, by the way. Better than either of those damage, because we're going to just do big damage once we get through the slipperies. So, yeah, why take a card that doesn't do anything anytime soon? And we're already scaling our sword pretty effectively. So maybe that's not a card that we should consider here. And I ended up opting to not go with it, even though I would say, in general, it's a good card. Now, I'd love to get some good hits on my hidden gem, but I'll tell you, I didn't get that many of them this run. It was few and far between where I was like, oh, that was perfect. We are going to play Spectrum Shift, though. We got to get that rolling. And there it is. Okay, all right, now we got a Super Forge coming up. That's good. A little scary taking the damage, but to be honest, at this point, I felt pretty well set up, and I wasn't too concerned. Refined Blade with the replay is huge, right? And it's going to give me a big turn of energy next turn. So his next attacking turns should be pretty good. And we're going to play Stardust just to get through Slippery. But this ended up being a really nice combination of cards to have during this whole run, which was a combination of Star Power and Sword Power. The Star Power could do things like that, but also there are times where, for whatever reason, whether via potion or just replay hitting the right card, the stars might align, and all of a sudden Stardust does incredible damage. And then there are other times where, you hit, like we just hit the Forge card, and then it's like, okay, well, you know what? Let's focus on using the Forge card, the sword. So it was nice to have that option. This was pretty clear to me. We were going to go with Sword Sage here. It's just nice to hit more than once. And now our big damage is already solved in multiple ways. Teskatara, this is the first time where I'm going to try the big hug. I've done Golden Compass before, not that impressive. Nutritious Soup is I only have 3 strikes, and you know what? I could just get rid of them, which I think is a better plan. Now, the negative effect of that is to get soot every time you draw your cards from the draw pile. So you have to go all the way through it once. But once you do, adding a soot is by far better than having 4 curses. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are 4 curses there. Yes, strikes are curses. Even with Strike Dummy, you could call them a curse because they just don't like do anything meaningful. They're like filler cards. So in general, if you did not know this, you usually want to slim down your basics as much as possible because any other card in the game that you can get is generally, assuming it fits the archetype that you're working on, is better than a strike. Right? Very rare that a strike somehow outperforms any other card. So with that in mind, I was happy to get rid of it, and to get 1 soot in return every time I go through my drop pile, especially as the deck gets larger, did not seem that big of a deal. It seemed like a great deal, which is why we took it. Now we're on the exoskeleton bugs, and we did get to play Spectrum Shift. Bolus is interesting. We get it a few times this run, and it's not bad. It's also not like great. It's kind of like a crappy Mercury Hourglass. You're like, oh yeah, I gotta play this card. I guess sometimes it can make the difference, but yeah. We get another Stardust play here. Talk about even distribution of hits. This is actually where I'm like, oh look, Bolus. Perfect. It does the perfect amount of damage to let me kill the highest HP guy there. But otherwise, it's like very often not doing anything. When you're doing 70 damage with Sovereign Blade, the 3 damage typically isn't what puts you over the edge in a kill for a higher HP enemy. But you know what? It's not a card in our deck that we're worried about. It seems like a great card for an Unceasing Top Claw deck, maybe? Really not even. No, not really. Now that I think about it, not that great. Maybe in an Unceasing Top non-Claw deck, it's good. Or if you're just doing like whatever equivalent to Talk to the Hand there is. I'm looking at Knockout Blow here because I'm like, oh, this gives me stars. This is going to be amazing, isn't it? And I've not played it before. And then there's always Glitter Stream, which is a great block card. I thought about taking that as well. But I already have expensive block cards with Bulwark, and it's going to be hard to play that regularly. So I end up going for almost a skip. I gotcha. We go back and we're going to take Knockout Blow. We're going to try it. So anyway, Wango is up. 100 gold gets a random common relic. That's a good deal, by the way. Almost always. Like a random common relic from the shop costs hundreds of gold. And we get the self-help book. So this was an easy Stardust pick for me. In hindsight, maybe not the best. Maybe not the best play. There's a play later that would have been better. But you don't know. You'll never know if that's something you're going to get. So with the information I had, this was fine. It's just what I learned later, or relearn later, is you can only have 1 enchant on a card. So, like, don't get too excited. You got to be careful. Now we get to play some colorless cards here. And with Knockout Blow or Sovereign Blade, I'm hoping that we can take this guy, stun him out. And I was like, oh, well, we could try this Beatdown card. Surely these will be good. And actually, not bad. The Stardust, I think, would have been better if it hit first. It'd be close. It'd be close. I'm not sure, actually. I'd have to do the math. Doesn't matter. Tunneler is going to go down pretty easily here with 1 more hit of the Sovereign Blade. And there's the Soot. There's the first Soot. We didn't even see the Soot. We saw it get added. Now, we get a couple of Forge cards here. And Spoils of Battle is another card that I haven't tried yet. But it kind of needs energy, and I don't have that much extra energy to be drawing cards that then I can't play. So early on this fight, I didn't want to mess around with it too much. This fight can be scary, actually. So I really wanted to get the double hit in for the Sovereign Blade and prepare that so, you know, when we're ready, we can just take an enemy out. Unfortunately, I'm weakened already thanks to the Silk Bowl bug. So there's no easy kill here. And, you know, 15 times 2 is great. Maybe actually with the Falling Star, I guess that would have killed something if I did the math a little bit longer. So instead, I think we just continue to set up here a little bit. And take as little damage as possible. Now this guy who's sleeping in the background, it's again this interesting mechanic where you can attack him. I think you could kill him and he does not wake up at all. He only wakes up when his turns after the pillow's gone. So 2 turns of being asleep. I do like the animation on the Z's, by the way. It's kind of like Alice in Wonderland-esque. So we've got an option here to maybe play Stardust with 7 stars and a strength pot or a vulnerable pot to just take somebody out. What's it going to be? A lot of thought that goes into some of these turns because we're trying to be as efficient as possible. I could just continue to set up, but I can't block heavily or block well. So it's going to be a potion most likely. And we'll try the colorless first. Panic button gets me through it, actually. And stuns the guy if I don't kill him. So then I can do Stardust and just hit a bunch of damage on both of them. Which is fine. That'll work. Now, the only problem is next turn is going to be rough. So we just continue to forge up and see if we can take out the big guy with the vulnerable potion now. And with Sovereign Blade hitting twice, yeah, no problem. So, ended up using way more potions than you would want to use in this particular fight. But that's okay. It's, that's going to happen sometimes. And remember, we got red box, so we can be pretty aggressive with our potion usage. So we just generated, and we got a Gigantification potion, by the way, which is amazing. There's Tyranny, by the way. That's the card that I was talking about earlier that works really well with Bombardment. And then we could get Pillar of Creation, which would work with Spectrum Shift, but it's one of 2 cards that makes cards for me, guaranteed. Whereas Patter is kind of cool because it gives 11 block, big block, no start cost, and it gives 3 vigor. Now, why might that matter? Think about it. What's the card that we've been playing more and more here that we just enchanted? And we can go from... Ooh, King's Courage is a cool potion. We can go from 7 damage a hit to 10. Pre-vulnerable. And in fact, here it is right here. There's the patter. But first we want to draw a card. And it'd be amazing if we hit it with the replay. I don't think we do, though, no. But patter's pretty good. I mean, I like the concept here of what we might be able to go with. Now, I didn't get the block enough, so I figured maybe we'll try for a nice little Snecko potion. Maybe the worst Snecko potion of all time. We got 2 Junkers that we were able to play. I mean, Hidden Cache is fine, but... anyway, we're going to continue to forge here. We can get some more energy, which is fantastic. And the weakness that we put on him lets us full block, which is really nice. Now, we're starting to go up in star power. I think we get our first soot ever. This is the first time we've seen it. And we get Patter again. And then this time we can start to put some effort into... replay on the Venerate would have been really nice before this. But, or it would have been nice if we replayed the Stardust. But yeah, this lets us maybe take this enemy out if we do enough damage. Right now we do 70. We can multiply that by 3 and do 210. So that's what we're going to do. We just can get out of this fight. I was hesitant to do that. Ooh, Cosmic Indifference, great deck manipulation card. And the reason I was hesitant to do it was because it's such a strong potion that originally I'm like, maybe I should save that for the boss. But I figured by the time we get there, we'll have more potions. Maybe we get another Gigantification potion. And I'd rather take less damage than worry about that. So here's another good opportunity for a couple of potions. Void Form is probably the best one here. A fantastic card, especially for free. Get to play the first 2 cards every turn for free. Usually I forget to not play it right away. If you play it right away, it also ends your turn. So always keep that in mind, especially when you get it via potion. So yeah, we're going to be able to play it perfectly here. Full block against the Bee Master. And we're going to be able to scale up. This time we're going to scale up our Sovereign Blade. We got the Refined Blade. So already we're doing 57. And with a little bit of weakness via Falling Star, we can probably come close to taking him out. So I'm looking at Vigor as well. I'm looking at all my star count stuff. And yeah, it is. We already do 60 twice. Wait, did we play Sword Sage? I can't remember. Anyway, 60 is 90. Almost. Oh, because we had Vigor. That's right, we lost the Vigor. So now we only have to do 50. And this fight is usually one that I struggle with. But when you're able to play cards like Knockout Blow for free, it's not that bad. Yep, there's a Soot. We got it. We got it right away. And not having the best draw for this particular turn, so that's unfortunate. Can't really think of a card that I want to put on top because all of these are kind of good to play right now. So, unfortunately for me, we're taking some damage this turn unless I do something crazy, which I decide not to do. Because Powdered Demise, while it would have killed him, it kills him after he attacks us. So, not actually useful. And in this case, we have enough damage where we can just kill him. I don't know what I'm doing here. There's no like card counters that I should be working on. Vulnerable Potion, we'll take that. That's been great. Royal Gamble versus Glow Plus. We're taking the Royal Gamble because now we're starting to realize that that star power is kind of carrying us a little bit. A couple of potions that I don't really want. Maybe Speed Potion would have been better than Powdered Demise. Maybe. I don't know. It's close. So, yeah, we'll move on from there and into one more elite, which is, this is another terrifying elite. I hate this elite. It's like, maybe, it's all of the Act 2 elites that I think I struggle with the most in this game so far. But this one in particular, and it's not just me, I've seen people take 20 minutes to get through this fight because they just don't do enough consistent damage. Really, it's a big-time AoE check. Or something like this, right? Where if you've got enough star power and you randomly hit enough enemies, you might be okay. But we're going to use 2 potions here, pretty sure, to get through it. Because there's a lot of incoming damage. And I'm not sure I want to take... Like, why does this guy do 28 damage on turn 1? It's obnoxious. This is cool, though. Calamity, whenever you play an attack, add a random attack into your hand. We're not going to do that, though, because we got 11 times 6, which is pretty good, especially against that guy in the middle there. And I think Sovereign Blade will take out the guy in the back. So this ends up being, so close. Oh, we got plenty of energy. We can get there. We can get there. Yeah, so this ends up being a fine fight, but one that I normally struggle with. And we're going to full block, surprisingly. Not bad. Not bad. We did get the Gorget. I still don't know how you pronounce that, so we're probably good regardless of what we do here. At least these early turns. It does help a lot with that early block. It's only 4 plating, but it seems to make the difference between taking some damage and no damage more often than not. It's amazing how that like extra 4 just stops you from having to play a bigger block card or multiple defense. That becomes less true later in the acts, of course, as we get towards the end of the game. But early on, it buys you a lot of time. So then you can use your health for other things. Because your health is a resource, of course. Now, I wonder in hindsight if maybe I should have played Rolling Boulder that turn. It's expensive, though. But it does hit everything. It's just hard to get into play. And, yeah, instead we can, again, take out an enemy pretty easily here. Maybe we can take out 2. Does Vigor get us there? I don't think it does. It gets us blocked, though. And this is where you see the difficulty of this enemy. Right? Like, we don't have a whole lot of time to take this guy out. Now, Knockout Blow will help, for sure, if we get a good star card, Stardust, with it. Is it Stardust? I think it's Stardust. And we do. So yeah, we end up getting a ton of Stardust or star power for Stardust. We get the kill. There's speaking of strike dummy, there it is. I don't think I have any strikes. We get offered Heavenly Drill, which is cool, but we're just never getting 4 energy consistently. So, you know, This is a great card, but you really need some energy for it. So instead, we're going to go with the card that I said I liked, the Void Form. And this is where I make another mistake. I go, oh yeah, Vigorous 8 seems amazing, but let's put it on Stardust. Wait, where is it? There's no Stardust. Dang it. So I'm like, oh, I guess maybe I shouldn't have taken this at all, since it's kind of useless. But whatever. We'll make Knockout Blow deal 8 more. That's fine. We do use this on occasion, so it's fine. It doesn't help that much going into the boss. And Stardust played once with 8 Vigor, on average, is probably going to be more effective than Sharpness, doing 2 extra damage on it. Played multiple times over a fight. No guarantee, but like, in general, that's likely. Good news, we already have 9 stars. And for once, we're remembering to play our potions at the start of a fight. Might as well play pretty much all of them, get King's Courage up. And this is kind of a good example of a fight where you can see we have multiple things going on for our deck. I decided to go with Mind Rod here, which normally I wouldn't. But the fact is, we're drawing an extra card by way of Spectrum Shift. So there's not actually any loss, because I often can't play all the cards in my hand anyway. And we have a little bit of card draw and card manipulation with cards like Cosmic Indifference and Glow and a few others, right? So, and who knows, Master of Strategy, whatever we generate from Spectrum Shift. So in this particular instance, I'm really just focused on how do I continue to scale things up. But no matter what, I want to make sure that the Sovereign Blade is getting bigger. So Bulwark is like the perfect card to play. We get a Panache, which we're never going to get to play, most likely. And we're just doing great with our scaling up. Now, we can already do 130 damage with Stardust. But I figure I can get a few more, a little bit more scaling out of it, and maybe line it up with a good patter. So turn that 10 into 13. I don't see any reason why you can't play patter multiple times, perhaps, which could happen with some good manipulation. And this time I'm like, you know what? We're at the point where Sloth is also probably fine. Because again, I don't see myself playing more than 3 cards most of the time here. I have very few 0-cost cards, although there's one in my deck right now. Everything's 1 or 2, so with 3 energy, how often am I even playing 3 cards? There's Patter, by the way. And there it is with Stardust. So now Stardust is going to do 13 by 13. That's pretty awesome. Takes him down to about half health. And now I'm out of stars, right? And it's going to be a while before I can get back to a high star count. But we can now look at playing Sovereign Blade twice. And if I play it twice right now, it already does 88 damage. Well, what if I wait for just our vulnerable card to come in, Falling Star, and all of a sudden that's basically a kill, right? So that's kind of where my head's at right now, is just continue to forge. I'm not sure I knew that I already played or had seen Falling Star. I think that's what I was looking for there. So a little disappointing maybe. But there's some stuff we can do here, actually. We can just hit them. Or we can just keep forging and then guarantee that we get really close to the kill with any cards that we draw. Of course, I forget that this guy heals for a not insignificant amount. Otherwise, we would have already just killed him with that knockout hit. At this point, I don't want to lose any energy, so we are going to go with the damage taken. But we don't have to do a whole lot of damage here. I think any 2 attacks kills, and we're able to pull in Sovereign Blade because we played Stratagem early on, which lets you pick a card from your draw pile every time you reshuffle, which is nice. So this is an easy pick here. As much as like Bundle of Joy is fun, Monarch's Gaze is not bad, Royalties seems good, Seeking Edge solves our AoE problem, and that's the take. I knew immediately that was what I was going to take. And we get Nonu Pepe. Did I say it right? Maybe. So a couple of interesting options here. Blessed Antler gives us dazes, but also energy, which sounds good, honestly. I don't like the dazes, but I figure that the energy is a good offset. Or we can get 1,000 gold and hit all the shops and buy everything from them. So I'm thinking, like, you know what? I'm holding up pretty well. And with Void Form, do I really need that extra energy? I think the answer is no. And so that's why we played what we played. Immediately, I'm like, maybe that was a mistake. But Royal Gamble, again, when you play it for free, you go, you instead of having a total of, what, 7 stars or whatever, you go to 13. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. Again, we have a lot of cards that we can play for free here. And this guy goes down right quick. Stardust is just so fun to watch, by the way. There's that Crescent Spear. I don't take it. I don't take Begone either. I went with my favorite, the classic Orbit, which honestly, not even that good the more I think about it. Like, it's good, don't get me wrong. But I think I added junk to my deck with that one, in hindsight. Based on what I've been saying about, like, adding junk. Now, we've got the faux shopkeeper here with the glue gun and the junk. But we're still going to buy some stuff because they're not terrible, and we had 1,350 gold or 1,400 gold, so it's pretty good, totally fine. I'm good with that. Here we have an interesting turn because I don't have a really good turn 1. We get Royal Gamble, but it's not very useful right now, and more energy than I know what to do with until we get Sovereign Blade, and then I can't spend it. So. Pretty wasteful turn, taking some damage early on. Usually I don't take a whole lot of damage from this fight. Every once in a while it works out that way. So that was definitely surprising. There's Void Form. I'm not sure we're playing that in this fight because it's just not that hard of a fight. And yeah, we'll take a little bit more damage here. I think that might be the end of it. Seeking Blade is something that I was looking for. Bulwark works well with it. I'm still too chicken to play the Gambit. I have once or twice, but like, terrifying card. If you take it blocks for 50, but if you ever take damage, you're dead. Yeah, I don't have the, you know what, for that. That's that's a big. It feels like a big gamble. That's hence Gambit. But I like the card. I think it's pretty neat. And I know there are decks where if you have good deck manipulation and can play it a lot, it's like the best card in the game. Auto win almost. But you got to be set up for that. I'm just not. So if I had like block carryover somehow, maybe I would consider it. But without that, it's just high risk. All right. But you can see we're able to set up pretty well. And now at this point, I think we can just play, our cards and kill everything. Yeah, we're doing 36 to everything. Goodbye. Cool. Get a vulnerable potion. We got pretty lucky in the vulnerable pots. And then this is another example of, do I want to add junk? All of these cards are good on their own right, but it's another card. And then I'd have to draw it. And do I really want to play these cards versus the other cards? Like Celestial Might Plus with Patter? Not bad. Not bad. Pillar of Creation with Spectrum Shift? Also not bad. But you can see there are some fights where I just don't get into any of that. So if I draw these cards and then never play it, it's just a complete waste. I do end up going for a Cloak of Shadows Plus, just a real nice cheap block card. And we're offered 3 Foul Potions, which I am now a fan of. Especially when I have 1,250 gold. I now have 1,550 gold. All right, 2 cards upgraded or 2 relics. I guess we'll take that. No problem. We're going to easily remove that card with all of the gold that we have, so I don't mind at all. 75 gold. Will we even notice it? I'm not sure we'll even notice it. We just take all the relics, all of the colorless cards, another Royal Gamble, another, card removed. Get rid of that regret. No regrets. No regrets in this deck. And, we can move on, or we can start throwing our potions at this guy, get the rest of our gold. What a funny mechanic this is. It doesn't make sense at all. And with so much gold, I'm just like, maybe I should buy a couple more cards here. After I just talked about not adding junk to my deck, we can also fill up the potion slots here. So Child of the Stars, questionable. But my thought process was I am playing Stardust, guaranteed. Like, that's something I'm doing. And that would be 26 block if you just consider the last time I played it, it was for 13. So that seemed pretty good. And I decided to give it a shot. All right, we got the one-armed bandit here, the one-eyed bandit, and doing what he does best, destroying us on turn 1. Lots of choices here. I thought about Void Form, but, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. We're taking a lot of damage either way. So, Power Potion. See if we can get anything good here that helps us block. Best option here is Parry. Tyranny's cool, but I don't really have anything I need to play that with, so let's just take the extra block for when we are eventually going to play the sword. There's the Royal Gamble. So again, we spend 5 to gain, 9, not 7, 9, which is nice, which then lets us play Cloak of Stars pretty guilt-free here, and then we can get that Void Form down. So that worked out quite well for us. Again, we've got the free cards, so we don't want to play Finesse first, because that's always going to be 0. But I do want to draw cards too, because what if I draw an expensive card? I forget what I do here. I opted for saving the stars. End up being able to play everything, almost a full block with the Jorget or the Gorget, whatever it is. And man, playing Eternal Armor for free feels good. There's the Child of the Stars, and there's the Stardust. So with the Vulnerable Pot, you can see we gain a whole bunch of armor with that. Unnecessary. I mean, somewhat necessary. I guess it stopped us from taking damage, but didn't even need to do that. Anyway, Bulwark lets us get the kill with Sovereign Blade. We get a Festive Popper, and possibly another Cloak of Stars Plus, which has been already performing nicely. Conquer is one of those things that is a win more card. Like, we're already winning, and it's junk because while it may help us win more with bigger numbers, it's really not that good. Okay, another mistake here. I was like, this is the one we're going to put on. Oh, wait, it's already, all of our good cards are enchanted. So I put it on Rotten War. Awful. That was sad. That was a sad moment. I would have been better off transforming something most likely. Or, okay. Arguably, this was still the better choice. I'll let you think through why that might be, because I don't want to try to convince you too much. And we're in this shop, the last shop with 500 gold. I have yet to take the tent. I thought about taking the tent. But I also really like defensive cards or relics. So Captain's Wheel looks really good. And getting 2 free upgrades at the start of each combat also seems pretty good. So that's what we're doing. Captain's Wheel and what's that, Hand Drill? It's not Hand Drill, it's something else, like Hand Punch or something. I don't know. I forget what that is. Now I could fight an Elite. I don't have any reason to go to that shop. 2 shops in a row, no good. I opted for what I thought would be a free fight or a free turn, and it wasn't. All these idiots showed up. However, we kill them all, pretty much. And because we have Gremlin Horn from floor 2, we're super strong here, which is awesome. We might as well play any 3-cost card. Doesn't matter. We got to do 1 damage the next turn. And we're sitting pretty. I haven't even mentioned it, but we have a Fairy in a Bottle. So we can take an excessive amount of damage here. And nothing really good nothing good enough to add to the deck for the final floor here. So I think we're good to just go to the final fight. Now we could Smith, or we could rest, even at full health, to get 2 potions, potentially. And that's what I'm considering here. Is it better to get 2 random potions or an upgrade? Now, of course, it's an upgrade of your choice, so there's a little bit more agency in that choice. Or certainty, maybe. But, 2 random potions, not terrible either. However, the potions aren't bad. So a Stardust upgrade, though, is useful, considering how many times that I've used it so far, and 2 extra damage times 13 or 20 or whatever I can get it up to. Pretty good. So turn 1 here is amazing. We're able to play Void Form turn 1, which I love to see. We're going to, of course, start off with Orbit, so it is coming in handy. That Venerable Tea set, the cheap one, is what's letting us do this, by the way. The one that we bought for 49 gold, along with Lantern, of course. But that was a great turn 1. And now we're on the new reworked Dorman fight, which is, these cards all exhaust when you play them. But again, if you're not getting back to the start of your deck very frequently, doesn't matter. So the biggest question is here is, do I play Stardust with Vigor or not? And definitely Falling Star seems good because, weakening him is great. I don't have a whole lot of defense, although I'm looking at it with Patter. I do think I have full block, and with Gorget, whatever. Whatever. So that's fine. And ultimately, the only thing that I need to think about here is whether or not I play Stardust. So we're going to full block no matter what. Hidden Gem is most definitely getting played. I don't expect to see that card back again. And frankly, Hidden Gem was not that great this run. I think with a little bit better deck manipulation, maybe it would have paid to play that. Or save that to play more. But the fact is, we didn't get it. So it lands on Photon Cut, which is kind of funny because I totally forget about it. And I'm debating Stardust. Do I play it now? And I'm like, well, you know what? He's got a lot of health. But this can do an excessive amount of damage if I plan a little bit better than some of my other fights. And now I'm having flashbacks to the last boss fights that I lost, which is why there's so much thought going into this. I'm like, 18 times 4. Not bad. But even if it's a lower number, times 20 is pretty good. And we get the free Royal Gamble. So we get 9 stars immediately. Amazing. And now we can bring the star power back if we want, Stardust. Among other cards, but most notably Stardust. So at the same time, we can start working on that Sovereign Blade. So that's like our backup plan. I don't know why I didn't play those cards. I should have played them just because. There's our Rotten War that is amazingly enchanted to do double damage. So instead of 5, it does 10. Yay. And this is funny. We have Void Form, but every card costs 1 because his ability for this phase is the first card you play costs 1 more. And Void Form basically stops us from being punished. So here's the replay Photon Cut that I don't realize is on replay. I'm like, oh, we'll put Stardust on top. Yep, sounds good. And then I played again. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, we want Stardust on top, right? No, this time we'll do Sovereign Blade. And then again, I'm like, yeah, Sovereign Blade. Yeah, okay, doesn't make any sense. We have 18, by the way, and we do 12 times 18. I don't know. Seems pretty good, don't you think? Not good enough. Because at this point, I'm realizing he hasn't done that much damage. And I'm really interested in bumping that number up even more. So we get a lot of good free cards to play. And yeah, not a scary turn. We still have that Fairy in a Bottle. So we can take 82 damage. And whatever we block for. And it's no problem. No problem at all. There's the Soot. We finally get a Soot. Sword Sage is great. We can play that twice. And we're not really blocking for a whole lot. But at this point, I'm realizing with 28 star power, there's only one thing that matters. And that's getting to Stardust. So Glow is going to help us get there and gives us more star power. So that was the obvious choice. And is it there yet? No. We have yet to see it. Unfortunate. However, it does let us play a few more cards. And remember, all of our cards now cost 1 more. But it's like, who even cares? So Sovereign Blade gets played because I figured I might as well play it for 1. That's actually a good deal because it's normally 2. Even though right now it's not. And I'm not sure why I'm playing Bulwark. But that's what we're doing. And remember, we get photon cut with the replay. So I just keep finessing over and over and over. Because I'm like, no. We want finesse. We want finesse next turn. That'll help us draw into whatever we need. But we have Stardust for sure. Patter would have been really nice. And 10 times 31 last I checked is a lot of damage. So... Wait. There's a better card, though, isn't there? Photon Cut. That's the better card. We get to play that 7 times, right? Yeah, of course. Once you start putting the same card on top, though, it doesn't do anything. But that gives us Glow, which lets us get the 32nd star. So now we're a nice nice number, and Stardust is going to take us to the finish line here. Don't you love it? We just flossed the hell out of that guy's teeth. He should be thanking us. Anyway, that was a great game. I hope you all enjoyed it. Regent took me a few times to get that win, so it felt good when we finally got there. And we'll be back next with Necrobinder. So look forward to that, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.